Welcome to The Rock, Apologetics Videos. The question was asked, does it really matter whether God exists or not? Isn't it enough just to believe that he exists? Well, that's irrational. Belief means you think something is true. Why would you think something is true if you knew it was not? That's actually irrational, and it's we as Christians believe that God exists and believe there's good evidence for it. Now, what kind of evidence? Some of it is historic. That is, we see things in the Bible that happened, and many of those things in the Bible have been shown outside biblical sources to have actually occurred. There's a good reason to believe it. No one believes, no credible evidence, there's no credible scholar that believes, for instance, that the grave of Christ was empty. There's just too much evidence that he in fact died on that cross, was buried, and is the tomb is now empty. So what is the what is the evidence that God exists? We have to look at different kinds of evidence, and the evidence in this case, or the argument, is a deductive argument. Science uses inductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning starts from specific things that you see and observe, and you try to induce an answer up to how that might have happened, and it only produces a certain amount of probability that it might be true. A deductive argument, on the other hand, is the only way to absolutely prove something using logic, to prove something without any doubt at all. It must be true. It's necessarily true. So we use a deductive argument, and this one is called a cosmological argument. In other words, why does the cosmos exist at all? Because the probability of it not existing is much greater than the probability that it would exist, or that life would exist. Okay, so a cosmological argument, my cosmological argument goes like this. Either something exists or nothing exists. I think we can agree that something exists because we're both sitting here with this video. I'm doing it and you're watching it. Okay, so Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. In Latin it was cogito ergo sum. So I think we can agree that something exists. Well, if it exists, then either it had no beginning, some kind of a steady state universe which no scientist holds anymore. Einstein did. That was one of his many errors. Or a fluctuating state that it comes in and out of existence, which doesn't explain anything at all. Nobody really holds that. Or it had a beginning. So, okay, I think everyone believes now it had a beginning. Second law of thermodynamics shows things are running down. If things are running down, they must have been wound up sometime. But we don't have any wind-up mechanism in science, do we? None at all. So it began to exist at some time in the past. When? We don't know. If it did have a beginning, then either it was self-caused, but you have to exist to cause something else, so that's irrational. Or it had no cause, which is also irrational. Every caused thing has something sufficient to explain it. There must be a sufficient cause for everything that exists. Or it was created by something outside of itself. Well, that seems to be the only rational possibility left. You might not like it, but it's the only rational possibility left. Something outside of itself must have caused it, and that outside thing, whatever it was, must have been sufficient to cause it, or it wouldn't have been caused. Okay. If it was outside it, then we'll call this a creation of some sort. So someplace the earth was created. Even you could still use that same word as fallen out of favor because it implies Christianity, and nothing Christian can be included in anything anymore. So we're excluding those ideas, but that would make it a creation. Something outside of it created it. So if it was created, then either it was a natural creation, but we've already covered that. That would be a self-creation. Nature didn't create itself. What created nature, right? Or it was a supernatural creation. Supernatural means outside of nature, above nature. Something else was causing it. Okay, that starts to sound a little more reasonable, doesn't it? Well, if it was a supernatural creation, then either it was created by an unintelligent agent or it was created by an intelligent agent. Well, if it was an unintelligent agent, where did intelligence come from? Do you really think that your thinking, your mind, and everything that it produces was caused by accidental collision of chemicals? There's no evidence of that. Nothing has ever been shown to start thinking just because you put chemicals together. Okay, so that doesn't make sense. It absolutely doesn't. So the supernatural agent must have been an intelligent agent, because ex nihilo nihil fit. Nothing comes from nothing. Nothing ever could. Even Hammerstein knew that when he wrote The Sound of Music, didn't he? We're forced to accept the idea that the supernatural agent that created the universe, that is at least reasonable if we're going to be rational beings, must have been intelligent. If it was created by an intelligent supernatural agent, then either the agent creating it was impersonal, or he was personal, but we have the same argument here. Where did personality come from? Again, nothing comes from nothing. Nothing ever could. Ex nihilo nihil fit, right? So nothing produces nothing. So where did personality come from? Okay, so we're kind of stuck in this box. We're stuck in a box of logic and rational thought, which says something exists. It must have had a beginning. The beginning had to have been outside of itself, and so this outside or supernatural agent was either intelligent or unintelligent, and if it was intelligent, there's no reason, unintelligent rather, there's no reason to believe that your mind is producing anything worth listening to. There's no rational basis for that. Where would that idea come from that we should be listened to? I mean, I don't mix chemicals in the chemistry lab, stir it up, and then listen for an answer, right? But if it happened on a large cosmological scale, we think that is to produce answers, or purpose, or teleology. You know, why do babies ask for the first 3 years of their life? Why? We're constantly looking for an answer for why something is, and there's no explanation whatsoever in a naturalistic realm of that. Okay, so if it was a supernatural agent that was intelligent and had personality, we would call that agent God.